Good evening. Welcome to the Education Plan Committee for Wednesday, February the 4th, 2026. I'm Trustee Alfred Chin and would like to call the meeting to order. With deep gratitude and respect, we are honored to be learning and unlearning on the ancestral and unceded land for the Musqueam, Squamish Nation, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations. The meeting is currently being broadcast live, and both the audio and video recording will be accessible to the public for viewing even after the meeting ends. Footage from this meeting may be viewed from Canada or anywhere else in the world. The board has strong commitment to ethical conduct. This includes the responsibility of committee participants to conduct themselves with appropriate decorum and professionalism. It's my responsibility as the chairperson of the committee to see the decorum is maintained. I'll ask all participants to keep questions and comments to the content provided in the presentation or report. Before we begin, I'll ask all the participants to introduce themselves, starting on my left.
Shannon Burton, Director of Instruction.
Aaron Davis, Director of Instruction.
Megan Davies, Principal at Elsie Roy.
Katie Clark, Vice Principal at Elsie Roy.
Janet Thompson, Vice Principal at Vancouver Technical Secondary School.
Rob Morrow, Principal at Van Tech.
Bruce Garnett, District Principal, Newcomer Welcome Center.
Kirsten Baker-Williams, Squamish Nation.
Susie Ma, Trustee and member of this committee.
Teo Huberman, member of the Vancouver District Students' Council.
Suzette Magri, QP15.
John Silver, Vancouver Secondary Teachers Association.
Sherry Bashirs, DPAC.
Deborah Tinton, Vancouver Elementary and Adult Educators Society.
Christopher Richardson, Trustee and member of this committee.
Janet Fraser, Trustee.
Riley McMitchell, he, him, Vancouver Elementary Principals and Vice Principals Association.
Zisu, District Principal of LIT.
Good evening, Pedro Silva, he, him, Associate Superintendent.
Ranjit Bains, she, her, Director of Instruction. Maureen McRae-Stanger, she, her, Associate Superintendent.
Allison Ogden, she, her, Associate Superintendent.
Janice Myers, she, her, Associate Superintendent.
Helen McGregor, Superintendent CEO, she, her.
Rojita Gondoliker, she, her, Recorder.
Thank you, everyone. And now we move the agenda to this evening. We have one item for approval and two information items on this evening's agenda. I'll ask Director of Instruction, Reggie Bings, and Associate Superintendent Maureen McRae-Stanger to present item 1.1, School Calendars 2026-27, 2027-28, and 2028-29. I ask, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chair, and hello, everyone. I'm pleased to be presenting the proposed school calendars for the next 3 school years, 2026 to 2029. Next slide, please. So boards are required to submit their calendars to the Ministry for review and may submit up to 3 consecutive years at one time. The minimum number of hours of instruction for 26-27 and the subsequent school years will be as follows. There's 853 hours for kindergarten, which allows for approximately 25 hours of gradual entry, and 878 hours for grades 1 to 7, and 952 hours for grades 8 to 12. And that's for standard schools. Next slide. For online learning schools, some similar requirements, but also we are required to submit the number and dates of days in session, the dates on which teachers and administrators are available for instruction, as well as vacation periods and the dates of statutory holidays. Next slide. Consultation on school calendars is required, and the school calendar regulation sets out the parameters for that consultation. A board must make public a proposed school calendar at least 1 month before submitting it to the ministry. And during the consultation period, A board must provide parents, caregivers, and board employees the opportunity to comment on the proposed calendar. So in our district, consultation with employees took place through our District Calendar Advisory Committee from October 2025 to January 2026. And we had a public comment period which was available from December 15th to January 16th, 2026. The calendars were also shared with the education leads from the 3 host nations. Subsequently, boards are required to submit the school calendars to the ministry by March 31st, and schools must publish their calendars to their communities by May 31st. Next slide. So during the calendar planning and development process, and some of the work of the committee is guided by the principles that you see on the slide, but I'll speak to as well. So there are federal and provincial regulations, such as the statutory holidays, the BC School Act, provincial calendars, ministry guidelines, and we also have collective agreement provisions for non-instructional days, of which we have 1, and professional development days, of which there are 5. The committee also works towards having alignment, balance, and consistency. So that alignment came in the form of coordination with metro districts, particularly when it comes to the placement of spring break and winter break. The balance is about the consideration of non-instructional days and professional development days so that they happen throughout the school year to support the timely and professional learning opportunities for staff, and also in consideration of where statutory holidays are. And then the consistency comes in the form of we strive for having predictable annual patterns wherever possible, and that's in support of families and also meets the needs of staff and the operational needs of the district. Now, given all of these parameters, there's not a lot of flexibility regarding district and school calendars. Next slide. So just wanted to speak to the work and the role of the committee for a moment. So the District Calendar Advisory Committee, the role is for the representatives to consult with their groups. The committee met, as I mentioned, 4 times between October 2025 and January 2026. And we also had several communications over email when meeting wasn't possible. And the work of the committee was to review the calendar requirements, take a look at the information from neighboring districts, and as I said, gather the input from the employee groups and stakeholders. You can see on the slide all the employee groups that were represented on the committee and were invited to participate, as well as VSB district staff, including a member of the Indigenous Ed Department. Next slide. So in putting together the proposed calendars, we did have some key considerations and decisions that we landed on. So the first had to do with instructional hours and days. And as we know, each calendar year is distinct, and the days in session may vary in order to meet the school calendar regulation requirements for instructional hours. So for example, in the first 2 years, the number of days in session is going to be 179, and in the last year, it's 180. So we would likely balance that out with changes in the bell schedule. I've already alluded to the instructional hours requirements earlier, but for example, a standard elementary bell schedule is typically between 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and a secondary bell schedule is typically 8:40 to 3:10 p.m. The second consideration was around the placement of professional development days and how they land in conjunction with statutory holidays. So you'll see in the 27-28 calendar year, there are 2 statutory holidays which land on a Thursday, and to address the operational needs of the district as well as to support families for their planning, it is proposed that professional development days follow those statutory holidays that land on the Thursday. And then lastly, we do strive for that district consistency that we talked about in the committee, but one of the considerations that we have in proposing these calendars was around having some district consistency in the placement of professional development days. And so we will propose gradually implementing that over the next several years with the shift away from the current practice of having 2 movable professional development days. Next slide. So during the open public comment period, we received 89 comments, which related to 107 separate mentions, as some emails had more than one theme. So when looking at the data, we did group the data and the mentions together into themes, and they fell into the 4 categories that you see there. So the predominant category was around the timing of breaks. So what we heard was some suggestions and perhaps concerns around placement of winter break and spring break. And so for winter break, it was around when it kind of is really close to the Christmas holiday, and there's many days after the January 1st. And for spring break, there was some input around aligning it with Easter break. And as I mentioned previously, we do try to align with our neighboring metro districts, and so there is that consideration as well. The second predominant theme was around professional development days. And we did have families expressing some concerns about how flexible Pro-D days reduce their predictability, particularly when they have students that attend multiple schools. And so that is what we've proposed as a gradual transition over the next 3 years. There is also a request wherever possible for Pro-D days to align with long weekends, and so we have tried to address that request as much as possible in the proposed calendars. A third category we titled additional input. It's kind of a catch-all category, and there was 2 kind of themes, I guess, that emerged within that category. One was a small number of submissions that highlighted some inaccuracies in our calendar, as well as some missing or duplicated dates in the calendar grid. And so there was an issue with our template, which we have corrected, and I'll speak to that a little bit as well. And then we also had some comments that we put into that category that were unrelated to calendar development and planning. And then lastly, we actually had several positive comments from the public and families who were appreciative of having the opportunity to provide comments and to plan in advance. Next slide, please. So some of the actions we've taken in response to the input that we've received, there was continued work with the calendar committee. There was ongoing conversations and discussions with the senior leadership. We did correct the technical errors on our calendar template, and we will ensure that that doesn't happen again. Staff also worked together to create a frequently asked questions site on our website, which is live now. And then for those questions that we received that were unrelated to calendar, staff responded directly to those questions. Next slide, please. So we'll just have a quick look at some of the calendars, and I know it's kind of hard to see on the screen, but you have it on your reports as well. So in 26-27, as I mentioned, the days in session is 179. It is a bit of a relatively late start to the year that some people would consider after a 10-week summer vacation, but as is standard practice, we start after Labor Day. And this year, this is where the gradual transition comes into play for the placement of the professional development days, where we'll have one movable day, which is the September date, and the rest of the days are set as district standardized professional development days. Next slide, please. And in the 27-28 year, as I mentioned, still 179 days in session. This is the year where there are those 2 statutory holidays that fall on the Thursdays, and so we have Pro-D days following those stats, and this will be the first year where all the dates for professional development are district standard. Next slide. And in 2028-29, the number of days in session will be 180. And as I mentioned before, school boards are able to adjust the number of days in session while still ensuring that we meet the instructional hours requirement. So in this calendar year, there will be 1 additional day where school is not in session, and that day will be on November 10th, and that creates a long weekend for families, which also supports some of the feedback we've heard from families. And this year would continue with the district standard of all days, all professional development days being standardized across the district. Next slide, please. So for our VLN, Vancouver Learning Network, our online school, the school calendar is slightly different, and that's because there's continuous entry and students complete courses in a self-paced manner. Support is available for students for the majority of the summer with 1 week of vacation at the beginning of August. Courses are always open and available to students on both instructional and non-instructional days, and they can continue their learning even when staff is not available. And just to point out that VLN still follows the VSB district school calendar when it comes to the stat holidays, the professional development days, non-instructional day, and spring and winter breaks. And I think that's it. Thank you. Question?
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions related to the school calendars? Yes.
Well, sorry. I'm concerned that students who might have issues with the calendars were not aware of the opportunities for public input. So my question is, were there any direct communications to students in that regard?
Through the chair. Thank you for the question. We did have representatives from the Vancouver District Students' Council, and so there was voice at the table, and they were asked to consult with the groups, and I'm not sure how that happened. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? Yes.
Hello, thanks for the presentation. Yeah, my question is about the movable Pro D days. I'm just looking at the frequently asked questions site, and it says that shifting away from movable Pro D days was done in response to public feedback and to operational needs. I'm just wondering what those operational needs might be. I do know that movable Pro D days provide greater equity of opportunity for our members to do professional development. For example, if you don't work on a Friday and they're all on Friday, you will never get to do a paid Pro D. So that's my question. Thank you. Through the chair.
Through the chair. The operational needs that we're referencing are pieces such as lunch programs and other services that we offer at the district level. And when schools have differing Pro D days, it does impact how those services and supports for students are delivered. That's one example I can think of. And yeah. I don't know. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, Maureen?
And some of the Pro D days are on different days of the week. Mondays or Fridays can be for Pro D. And also teachers and support staff are welcome to do sessions that are offered after school for development or things through staff meetings or collaboration as well.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comment? I do have one question actually. Based on the public comments, right, there are about close to 100 people who actually provide comments. Can I assume that for the other people who didn't put on comments, they assume there will be no change or they prefer no change? And how do we evaluate on those factors?
Do I still say through the chair? Yeah, I don't know if we can make assumptions about what other folks, you know, if they're in agreement or not, but I will say we did send the information out multiple times and reminders as well. So it was a pretty long period of comment period being available and opportunities for folks to provide that feedback.
All right, thank you. Okay, seeing no other questions to the school calendars, I would like to remind that, seeing no other questions from the committee members, I am prepared to proceed and look for committee trustee whether they would like to recommend this motion to the board for February 25th, 2026 for the public board meeting. The recommendation reads that the board approve the district school calendar for the 2026-27, 2027-28, and 2028-29 school years, and the Vancouver Learning Network school calendars for the 2026-27, 2027-28, and 2028-29 school years. And do the trustees all approve? All right, great. Susie, Christopher, myself. Right, that's it. Okay, great. So this will go to the board with the recommendation of the Education Plan Committee in support of this motion. If there's no further questions, we will move to the next item on the agenda, digital literacy update. And I'll ask District Principal, Learning Information Technology, Jisoo, and Associate Superintendent Patrol Da Silva to present the item. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Maybe we'll get the slide deck going. Last year, about this time, we did a digital literacy update, and at that point, we brought some information back from the personal device restrictions, and we had surveyed over about 5,500 people, the VSB, over 4,000 students, and we can go back to the slide a second. And what we heard from the students as part of that survey is that they would like to be part of the journey of learning more about digital literacy and being more involved in, having some input into their futures. So our Safe and Caring Schools team met with students who had completed the survey, and they co-created a very special day, probably one of the best days I've had this year, in November during the Pro D Day, where the students created a half-day conference where 80 students from approximately 80, maybe a little bit more, from all the 18 schools came to Eric Hamber Secondary. And the day was split into two parts that day. In the first part, they had decided to bring a panel of social media experts, some of them students, some of them adults, and to have an open panel and conversation about the impact of social media and what are some of the strategies for them to work through digital media. The second part that they helped facilitate was a session that myself and actually Ranjit Bains, Director of Instruction, had the privilege of being the debaters on the merits of AI and maybe what's not so good about AI. But what was really fascinating about that activity, we actually didn't come up with the rationale. We split the students in half, and they would talk through what their points were, and then we had to articulate those viewpoints, and then they gave us the arguments. And I would say, in my experience, I can tell you that I haven't been to too many sessions that were as thoughtful, articulate, and well-researched as that day with students. And I think I just want to highlight that because we are going to share a lot of the great things that are happening. I would say how we go about working through digital literacy and some of the things we're going to talk about is a lot more important than what we're going to share with you. In that process that we brought students in who are eager and desperate to actually be in conversations about their future. It's something that I would highly recommend, and I do really want to thank the educators who helped facilitate that. So I'm going to pass this on to Z to continue the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Pedro. Next slide, please. So professional development is a driver for learning and growth, and when our staff grows, our students do as well. Our digital literacy strategy has expanded significantly both in reach and depth between September 2025 and January 2026. 500 students and 3,000 staff were supported through 150 plus learning opportunities. The growth reflects a district-wide culture of curiosity, continuous improvement, and deeper digital literacy. This demonstrates what is possible when we invest in people and design structures that center around student success. Next slide, please. So Christina Walker is our digital literacy mentor teacher, and in her role as mentor and in her leadership is foundational to our digital literacy growth. She's provided individualized coaching, workshops, and full staff sessions across the district. Her approach is grounded in strong relationships, flexibility, and instructional design. And she's able to support lesson design, classroom implementation, and ongoing professional learning. The outcome is a strengthening of district capacity to teach, learn, and lead in a rapidly evolving digital landscape. Next slide, please. So digital literacy resources in our SharePoint continues to grow and remain heavily used. Our digital literacy and generative AI SharePoint hub receives 200 plus visits per month, showing sustained engagement. The Gen AI Teams PLC professional learning community is 670 plus members strong, educators collaborating, sharing resources, and modeling professional inquiry. Fit for learning for students. The webinars consistently draw 500 plus students and educators per session. This work highlights the strength of our collective learning and shared responsibility for digital literacy. Next slide, please. For family engagement, digital well-being requires a strong partnership between school and home. Our VSP After the Bell live sessions support families with digital literacy, online safety, and AI awareness. Partnerships with the White Hatter and Safer Schools together enhance privacy, safety, and social media education. Approximately 7,000 plus families engage, showing high community trust and appetite for guidance. We are proud of these offerings and parents are asking for more. Next slide, please. So on the slide, you can see those are 2 screenshots from our website, and we've updated district websites with ministry-aligned information and safety guidance for families. And we co-developed comprehensive AI guidelines for students, educators, and business operations staff. These guidelines emphasize ethical practice, privacy, responsible tool use, and critical thinking. They provide clarity and guardrails to support innovative use of technology safely. These 3 guidelines strengthen cross-department consistency and reinforce commitment to safety, transparency, and inclusion. Next slide, please. 2 projects that we're proud of. The Critical Digital Literacy PLC is a group of educators, and they meet monthly to deepen their knowledge in digital and media literacy, information fluency, safety, privacy, and AI. Participants are consistently reporting how this opportunity is the most impactful professional learning experience they've experienced in a long while. Our partnership with UBC continues to grow through the digital pedagogies and AI cohort. And this cohort is a group of teacher candidates who are specializing in digital literacy and AI, and they will be completing their practicum in our VSB classrooms and strengthening our shared expertise. And they're an exciting group and uniquely skilled set of teachers coming to us, and we need to recruit them and retain them. Next slide, please. Here's a slide of our timeline, and I'm just going to highlight a few things. So we've had significant progress over the past 2 years, including collaborating with other districts and national educational leaders. Early in 2024, we introduced Enterprise Protected Copilot Chat for a small piloted group, and then we expanded to all staff district-wide. We formed a digital literacy working group and met numerous occasions to guide the creation of the AI guidelines through deep conversation and co-design. Subsequently, feedback was gathered from various groups, committees, students from the Student Forum, as well as the ICT Advisory Committee, with DPAC represented there as well, among other groups. The next major milestone includes launching Copilot for students. Next slide, please. So Copilot Chat has been available to all staff and has changed the conversation regarding how we interact with technology. It enables us through natural language to analyze, generate, summarize, and inquire deeper into learning. It's a tool that supports deeper learning through iteration, reflection, and inquiry-based workflows. Next slide, please. We have been technically ready to deploy for some time, but honoring the process and timelines are important to us. Copilot 13 Plus for students is tailored specifically for learners age 13 and above with appropriate safeguards. It provides a safer, protected alternative to external AI tools students are already using. It ensures alignment with privacy expectations and developmental readiness. Now over to Pedro. Thank you. Very eager to take it.
Sorry, Z. We took the mic a little too quick. Okay, so Z mentioned safeguards. Can we go to the next slide? So what we are keenly aware of with a lot of data is that we know the students are using ChatGPT and different AI. We know that from the data. If you look at the drops in the summertime and natural vacation times, you can see a direct correlation between student use and not. What we haven't been able to do is bring that environment into schools, and we are at the point where we are able to do that. And one of the reasons we're able to do that is we've got, for our high school students, a lot of work around the safeguards And they usually fall into kind of three components. The admin controls, those are like decisions we make that give access to students. The technology, and we have a lot of control about which technologies we can actually release. The enterprise data protection, so that everyone is aware, there is a security part of it. The really important piece of that is that the data that stays in our district stays in the district. It doesn't leave. And whatever interaction the students have or what learning happens never leaves our district and doesn't go into AI models. The right part of that is around the content. There's been significant work to have age-appropriate content and material. There are safeguards in place for inappropriate dialogue, and there's also safeguards around security. We are very comfortable. We've done a lot of work with other districts and a lot of work with Microsoft to roll this out in a very safe way. And I think it'll be really exciting for students. Next slide. I do want to, sometimes I feel we just have to say this, and most of you are probably aware of this. When we're talking about Copilot, we're talking about the chat interface, and they're available to dialogue. I just want to make sure everyone's aware that AI and all the tech companies are all using AI in software and updating them as you speak. Very shortly, AI will be software. And so that's really important because I feel sometimes when we're talking about this, we're feeling that this is something that's going to be something new, and it's happening right now to most of the software you're using. Most software companies are going to embed that. And the chat is just in a component where the users can interact with this. And that's, I think, important for all of us to be aware. We also wanted to emphasize, we're going to circle back around to students. We started this with the story of them co-creating. LinkedIn did a survey of employers, and right now, AI literacy, digital literacy is the top demand for young people that are going to go into the workforce. It's been identified by most companies, and it's something that we are keenly aware of, and it's something I think that the education system also needs to be aware of, as we do have an obligation to prepare students for life after school. Next slide. So this is a picture of the students. I will leave you with this. We've done a financial plan survey that's gone out. We've collected some information, and I'm going to share with you in a second what the students' number one priority in the financial plan, the suggestion to the board. Okay, go next slide, please. Number one suggestion is that students express a strong desire for instruction in safe, ethical, and effective use of artificial intelligence, as well as expanded course offerings aligned with the future labor market needs. So I began this by talking about that great day I had with students and how thoughtful they were and how keenly aware of the changing world around us and how they want to be part of the future. They want to be part of the discussions, and they want us as educators to help them with that. And so I'm, again, excited about that. I think collectively what we will do is use the same approach we did with those students. We ask everyone to talk to each other, work through the human aspect of this, and I think that there are endless possibilities. So thank you. And that will be the end of the report.
All right, thank you. Before we go to questions, John, I want to recognize our trustee and committee member, Louis Champackley is here. All right, thank you. And any questions regarding this report? Questions?
Thank you, through you, Chair. My question is about content safety. I'm kind of the belief that it's not so much something that we could put a cage around and be safe forever. It's something that we continuously have to deal with. So I'm curious about what processes you have for checking, continually checking for content safety, and then also if you do find something that's inappropriate, how will you be dealing with it?
Yeah, so in the content section, there was a feedback loop that exists within that we can report and report any kind of content issues. And so there's an ongoing conversation. And if students actually engage something where it is, they will be able also to report something. So there are safeguards, and there is sometimes a back and forth that tries to address that. Yep.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, please.
Through the chair, So at the Vancouver District Students' Council, we've discussed AI usage and we found that limitations are important. So are policies for student use of AI currently being planned or implemented?
Yes, so right now our focus is on guidelines, and those guidelines will help address the question that you were speaking about. So there'll be some for students, there will be some for the adults in the system, and there'll be some for the business side. And they have been co-created with Student Impact. We have sent the guidelines also to students to give us their feedback on those, and to the adults in the system as well.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Yes. Yes, Trustee Ma.
Yeah, I have several questions. The first question is maybe further away. Oh, that's why. Okay, thank you. So my first question is, in terms of the co-pilot chat that's going to be piloted, how many schools will be involved in that, and how many students?
So the co-pilot is for students that are age 13 plus, and it will be available to all of the students that are 13 ages or plus that are in our secondary schools, and also the programs that are of high school age.
Can I go on, Chair?
Yes, sure.
So in terms of moderation, who will be responsible for moderating that chat?
The classroom teacher is the direct contact point for the students, and part of our guidelines supports the teacher's role in supporting the students there. In terms of the content management or the content filtering in our admin panel, we can see and flag inappropriate content, also content that potentially may be harmful for students, or students are putting in harmful and unsafe content, so that we can see that and flag it in our system.
Follow-up questions?
Can I keep going?
Sure.
I don't know why it keeps doing that. Is that because somebody else has their mic on? Oh, okay, sorry. So will this co-pilot chat only be accessible during school day, during school hours, or will the students be able to log on to co-pilot chat at home from their home computers? Is my first part of that question. Thank you.
So the students who have an account will have access to co-pilot chat in and out of school time. Just maybe circle back on the previous question, if that's okay. I think one of the clarifying kind of parts about the technology is that what's built into it is actually technology that does the filtering and scans for inappropriate behavior, to the point that if somebody uses language or does something, it will not allow it to proceed. So there's built-in safeguards in the software itself. And that's also important for us to recognize that part of bringing this into the environment is that there's an active safeguards, and the technology is also, will provide some of that safety as well, besides the human beings. And we've had multiple conversations with folks. I will say there's a lot of energy to ensure that these are safe environments for the students. And also would like to emphasize that students are currently using these technologies in their own without these safeguards at an incredibly alarming rate.
Thank you. Trustee Ma?
Yeah, so I'm not opposed to AI. I think it's a tool that everyone eventually in the future will have to understand and how to use responsibly. I guess the answer to my question about when students can access this, if students can access this 24/7, then I guess, and teachers are responsible, I guess, for moderating that during the school day, I guess then it would be the responsibility of the family to monitor their child's use or usage outside of school. And I guess that's my question is I worry about the students chatting and being online 24/7, or the possibility of them being online 24/7 when we know how social media, how being online for a very long time is not good for most people's mental health and physical health. So that's a concern that I have.
So through the chair, Trustee Ma, would you like me to respond, or did you just want to share the concern?
I think that was just more of a comment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next question, John.
Thank you. Through the chair to either Pedro or Z. I'm a shop teacher. I am not at all connected to a computer for the vast majority of my time. How would I be expected to monitor what my students are doing on Copilot? Thanks.
Yeah, so maybe we'll just clarify the monitoring conversation. So this is a software tool that gives students access to learning materials and interacts with stuff. They, just like they use existing software in the system, they are going to learn, they have teams, they communicate. Their behavior is something that we collectively have to work with, whether we're parents, whether we're students. I don't believe that we are going to frame it that teachers have to monitor. This is students that are using technology. They're going to support their learning and their curiosity. And if they're going to be used to supplement learning, that's a decision that a teacher could make. The monitoring will be done at the system level. We actually have tools that can monitor. But again, I'll say there's been a lot of work to keep this as an age-appropriate, safe space when we know the kids are using it at home in an unsafe environment.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify, yes, monitoring. So earlier I said Copilot 13 Plus is specifically built for students, and the safeguards are put in place. So that is done in the programming. In terms of integrating the technology, that is the teacher's role, and the teachers can integrate AI if they want to under guidance and under supervision. And so that's where I mean by monitoring. So we've always implemented technology that makes sense and not just for the sake of technology. And so that's where the controls are initially. So I would never integrate technology just for the sake of it. So it has to be aligned with the curriculum and the purpose. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Trustee Fraser.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you for the presentation and the discussion. I think I'm getting a little confused by it's termed as Microsoft Copilot and also Microsoft Copilot Chat. So I'm confused, is it like and maybe I'm bringing my own historical things here. Is it like a chat room where many students are participating together, or is it the individual student interacting with the software?
So Copilot Chat is same as Copilot 13 Plus, same as Copilot, and it is it's personal, so it's one-to-one. It's not a chat room. So the student is interacting with the software. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next question from Sherry.
Hi, thanks. I guess one of the questions I'm wondering, I have a couple questions. One is there connection, but is there an academic integrity policy, and will what are currently guidelines at some point be transformed into policy to support teachers in creating boundaries around AI use? And then I have a follow-up question as well.
Through the chair, that's a really good question. So the guidelines are going to help with the usage of the technology, and I think I know in secondary schools we've met with the principals to talk about some of the topics that staffs need to engage in. One is the academic integrity, the cognitive offloading. There are a lot of educational conversations that need to take place. And that is ongoing. And originally, when we shared the student agency and that experience, that's the kind of dialogue that needs to happen at each of the schools. And people have to go at the speed that they're comfortable with. The access to the technology that we're going to give students is for their learning. How did students and teachers and everyone's going to adapt to? I think that that's an ongoing thing in the school, and some of that will be with support from the district.
Okay, follow-up questions?
Yeah, and so my other question is, what kind of support is there for teachers in both implementing AI use in a way that encourages responsible use and you know, provides those boundaries? Because I can tell you from experience, it's a big learning curve, and it's really helpful to have really, you know, specific examples and materials that you can turn to while you're in that learning curve.
Thank you. Good question. So we have updated our website with ministry resources. So ministry has published resources that we've updated on our website. That's one. Two, thanks to senior leaders and the board for implementing 2 roles in our system. The digital literacy mentor teacher, which is Christina Walker, and she's done a fantastic job of supporting our teachers, both one-to-one, small group instruction, and also full staff. And then we've also developed a large repository of resources in our SharePoint that's available to all staff. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next question to Deborah.
Hi, thanks. My question through the chair is about the rollout of Copilot 13. Like, is that slated to happen in September, and then they all have access to it? Or, and then I do have a follow-up question. Thank you.
Sorry, going back to the question, I forgot to mention our cybersecurity AI specialists. We have that role as well. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. So we are ready to roll out Copilot. It will happen at some point this springtime.
Any follow-up questions?
Yeah, if that's okay, Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, my follow-up question then, so if that's to be rolled out this spring, then what is there a plan about how all students are to know these like investigate the guidelines? Because it's not enough to just give them the guidelines. So is there a plan that administrators will do that, or that certain teachers at each school will do that? Thank you.
Yeah, we'll work through a plan to distribute the guidelines. I think, as I mentioned earlier, we've had considerable student feedback and staff feedback on the development of the guidelines so that they have appropriate language for each of the groups. And, you know, as we roll out, we're going to be really sensitive to the speed of trust and to support people as much. And it's also important to note this rollout is for secondary schools, and that is where a lot of our energy will be in terms of this, because this is the area that the students are going to have access to the technology.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Chasima.
Thank you. What is the cost for this rollout, if any?
It's embedded in our Microsoft contract as part of the contract that we signed.
So no additional cost?
Okay, no other questions, right? And then we thank you. We will move to the next item on the agenda, supporting the framework for enhancing student learning, alignment with school plans. Our Associate Superintendent Maureen Murray-Stager to present the item.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everybody. I'm very happy to be here again to be continuing our focus on FESL, and tonight specifically talking about the alignment with school learning plans. Next slide, please. So as a refresher for us, the goals of FESL are pretty clear. It's the way the ministry measures success for students across the province of BC. The first goal is around intellectual development and wanting to make sure that our students are meeting or exceeding literacy expectations for all grade levels and numeracy. Also for human and social development, students will feel welcome, safe, and connected to their schools. And finally, for career development, students are going to graduate and have the competencies they need for future growth and career goals. Next slide, please. In previous Education Plan Committee meetings, we've talked a lot about FESL. We looked at our annual report, and we know that we have alignment between the FESL goals and the goals in our education plan. This alignment is really important for us. However, the work that we do in schools is really where that action happens, where the work really comes to life. And tonight we are really excited to have 2 different schools here to share their school learning plans with you and dive a little bit deeper into how they've done their data analysis, set their goals, worked with their students and families, and are measuring success in their schools. Now, we are very lucky. We have over 100 school learning plans across the VSB, and we have 2 amazing schools today. We could have picked all over the 100 schools to come tonight because all of them are doing amazing work with their school learning plans and their alignment. Next slide, please. So here tonight with us, really happy to have our administrators from Elsie Roy Elementary School. So we've got Megan and Katie, who'll be presenting to you shortly. Next slide, please. We also have from Van Tech, we've got Rob and Janet here. And each of these school teams are going to be in separate rooms. We're going to have Elsie Roy admin are going to be in the boardroom just down the hallway. And we're going to have the Van Tech team are going to be in room 120 down the hallway. And our goal for the rest of our meeting this evening is to divide the Education Plan Committee into 2 groups and have you have an opportunity to be involved in 2 separate learning sessions. So your first session will be with one of these schools, the second session with the second school. You'll have about 20 minutes or so to hear a presentation from the administrators about that school learning plan and a chance to ask questions and hear a bit more about the growth and success that they are experiencing for their students within their schools. So really excited for the presentations. And I know I'm going to turn it back over to the chair to adjourn the meeting here, and I'll divide you into 2 groups to begin our sessions down the hallway. The chair, over to you.
All right, thank you. And the questions from the committee member on this item will be addressed at each of the school learning plan sections. We have addressed all the items on the agenda, and Education Plan Committee members, we will take through the 2 school learning plan sections. Thank you, everyone. And the live broadcast will end now, and the meeting will adjourn following the conclusion for the small groups discussion at around 6:30. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Folks, for the groupings, we'll have group 1, where Bruce, Teo, I think Susie's group, maybe you can join with Christopher and Deb from the back and start off with our elementary presentation in the boardroom. The remaining members, if you can head over to room 120 down the hallway at the very end, and we will time this. It'll be about 15 minutes or so for each presentation. I'll come and ask you to rotate through. Thanks, everybody.